Hello.
Hey, good morning, afternoon, or evening, depending on when you're listening. So what do you want to talk about today?
I don't even know what this episode is going to be about at this point.
I'm not sure that's going to elicit confidence in our listeners. You want to talk about diet culture?
Yeah, we'll figure it out. It'll evolve as we go.
It'll
We
evolve.
we went down lots of different little rabbit holes, little I don't even
Okay,
know,
stop
side.
talking now. I'm Candace,
And I'm Elle.
and this is Weirdly Human.
What exactly are we going to talk about today? I don't even know.
Yes, you do.
All right. How about let's talk about diet culture?
Oh, let's do.
Okay.
Which is good because that's exactly the notes that I have with me. I'm glad.
Oh, good.
That's the one we're still recording today.
All right.
But you can't argue that diets, and when we say diets, we don't mean the entirety of everything that you eat, because that is the way that we use diet. But when we say diet, we mean it's generally for reducing your size, for losing weight,
Or controlling your weight.
or controlling your
Absolutely.
weight. And that is weirdly human. For one thing, I don't think
birds care. I think if there's seed on the ground, they're going to eat it. I don't think they worry about, is that
for
seed
sure,
going
but
to make me fat?
most animals don't have access to the wide variety of easy calories that we have, so it's not a concern for them.
Absolutely.
And I think walruses wear it like a status symbol.
For sure. Hippos too.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that also comes into our culture in that we know if you say someone's a hippo, you immediately think that this person is overweight or fat. And I don't want to shame anyone. I don't want to shame
I think
anyone.
they just get really cranky when our pond gets a little low.
Do you have a hippo in your pond? Because I don't.
No. That's a lot of Nat Geo.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've justified talking about diets being weirdly human. We don't want to fat shame anyone or diet shame. If you like to do all the diets, that's fine.
But going down the rabbit hole, doing research for this episode, there are so many fad diets. Starting to think about how we were both raised and how our mothers behaved. And as women, I think there's a whole subculture around what are you eating? What are you not eating?
Well, nowadays, I can't just run on pure youth. I used to be able to eat, foods, and it didn't matter what it was as long as it wasn't too much. And my youth just made me feel pretty good most of the time. And as I get older, I have a lot of inflammation, some inflammatory disease, and I'm researching for myself, okay, what is the best diet? I'm already gluten-free.
Yeah, we're both gluten-free.
Right. You primarily because your daughter actually has celiac disease.
Exactly.
And me because my doctor suggested that could help with some autoimmune stuff. So, and then I just felt much better once I went gluten-free. But I thought, okay, let's look at anti-inflammatory diets. What is the best thing for me to eat? Why don't scientists agree on this is what you should eat?
Great question. When I was doing the research, I found that there are 5 different diets, quote unquote, that are backed by science. So the first one was the low carb. When I think about low carb, I kind of automatically go to the Atkins idea, which we know has been debunked. I can't be eating bacon and ham every single day and be a healthy person.
And it was as much bacon as you want.
I know.
I think the selling point for Atkins.
For sure.
Just all bacon all the time. Intuitively, that doesn't seem right.
Right. That seems
with a lot of sodium.
That is a lot of fat. And is that good fat for us? I don't think so. That doesn't equate the same as my avocado fat. So the low carb was good for us. The Mediterranean, obviously, we've known that for decades now, that the Mediterranean diet is a good one.
That's such a generic term. What's a Mediterranean diet? There are lots of countries in the Mediterranean. Is that... So we're looking at like Sardinia and North Africa, Southern Europe.
I think when they talk about the Mediterranean diet, they're talking about eating a lot of seafood, a lot of vegetables. Olive oil is their primary fat source, other than the fish. The vegan diet and gluten-free and paleo were all in this list of 5 diets that were backed by science to be healthier. And really what it boils down to, or what it seemed to me to boil down to, are these diets basically say the same thing. Stop eating so much starch, stop eating so many sugars, and processed foods need to go.
Yeah, but also just stop eating so much.
And portion control is always a problem.
And
Yeah.
okay, so the vegan diet was one that you mentioned, but I know for a fact there are unhealthy vegans out there. You can't be 14 and come home and say, I'm not going to eat animal products. And so then you're just eating the hamburger bun
For
and
sure.
the chips
Yeah.
and have a healthy diet. That's not it.
Well, the vegan diet that they were talking about is an actual vegan diet where you are actually eating vegetables, prepared in delicious ways, not just the hamburger
protein
bun.
comes from
Yes.
nuts, legumes.
Yes.
That sort of thing. So that can be a healthy diet. I can say as a former vegan, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
God, yes, I'm sure.
And also I'm gonna rib the vegans right now because I used to be one. My son still is. Vegans that's a lifestyle. That's a diet and it's also a lifestyle. In fact, I think if you read his Twitter bio, the first thing it says is raging vegan. And you don't get to wear the title of vegan if you have any animal sourced anything. So if he ate 100% vegan all year, but had a free range organic egg with his mom when he came for Christmas, he loses his vegan superpowers.
Oh,
and
that just seems wrong.
I know, he gets kicked out of the club, even though this one egg would be fairly nutritionally insignificant for him, which is why I refer to it as sort of a socially acceptable eating disorder. It can be very healthy.
Are there AA meetings for vegans? I mean, does he have to go and check in once a week and say, hi, my name's
No, because
blank, and
no,
I ate an egg.
It's more of a vegan rally. It's more of a vegan cult, right? So
no.
Yes. And you have to know the best vegan restaurants. And, there's even some snobbery among the vegans because some of them eat honey, which is technically not vegan because it's produced by bees. But some of them are like, okay, this is, I don't have to go that far.
Right, because the bees aren't harmed.
No. Okay, what we've learned is that's not what this episode is about.
Fine. Yeah.
And gluten-free, same thing. If you take all of your breads, cakes, cookies, and just replace it with gluten-free breads, cakes, cookies, then voila, you still have a very unhealthy diet.
Okay, so we've been gluten-free. Oh, gosh. Let's see. My big girl was 7 and she's almost 16. So we've been gluten-free for 9 years. And since that time, it's been quite a fad.
You know what? We're going to come off sounding heavily biased towards the gluten-free diet just because we both happen to be gluten-free. But just like with the vegans, you can have an unhealthy gluten-free diet, which takes us to the low carb.
Right. So that's what I was saying. When we first went gluten-free, there weren't all these gluten-free choices. There was one gluten-free bread.
Oh, you were gluten-free before it was cool.
We were gluten-free before it was cool, baby. And oh my gosh, the gluten-free choices were terrible. We made big changes and we really started eating more of a Mediterranean diet than we were before.
By default, you just don't eat bread.
We don't eat bread. We don't have
biscuits.
Crackers. We don't cookies. No biscuits, no pancakes, no none of that. You change and your taste buds change after you've eaten clean and healthy for a while.
Once again, you say you're eating clean and healthy, but you were eating a lot of vegetables.
Lots of vegetables, lots of fish. In our family, we eat fish at least twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week, because we just like it. It's delicious.
She says that to brag.
Like you said before in our planning sessions, I'm coming from a place of privilege. I can have fish, and we do, and we like it. And not everyone has that opportunity.
Right.
Or knows how to make it. And that's been a big thing. I had to learn how to make and cook in very different ways.
It's heartbreaking. There are kids in inner cities who've just never had a salad.
Not a salad that was good. Not a salad that wasn't just crappy iceberg lettuce with some soybean oil on it. Gross.
Yeah, that's really gross. So we have the internet now, guys. Pick a favorite, some Jamie Oliver, some Gordon Ramsay, have them make some veggies for you. But they are delicious.
We also talked about how, especially as women, there's the diet of the day. What's the fad of the day? This started long ago.
I want to say keto is last year.
And paleo's this year.
No? Paleo's been around a long time.
Okay.
This year it's intermittent fasting.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I see that.
all the cool people are doing intermittent fasting.
Sure.
Guess what? You're already doing intermittent fasting, every one of you, because sometimes you sleep. And I guess that you fast when you sleep.
In your sleep.
And the idea of intermittent fasting is you just basically increase that. So you have breakfast a little later, you have dinner a little earlier, your window that you're eating food is smaller. That's not the worst idea. I mean, I know a lot of overeating happens at night, like you're sitting on the couch watching TV. If you say, okay, I had dinner was delicious, the kitchen is closed, we know that that's good for you. Okay. Some people are even limiting themselves to one meal per day. I can't comment on that. It sounds hard to me.
Yeah, that sounds really hard to me.
Yeah.
I don't do the 3 big meals, but I need small meals during the day.
Yeah, sure. And
otherwise I get hangry.
Didn't do a lot of research on intermittent fasting.
Right.
But we know that you're all already doing it. So
whenever we were talking about this, it immediately made me think of the 80s because hello, we're old and we grew up then. And, everything was low fat, which of course now we know is not a good idea. We've replaced fat with sugar and we're fatter, we Americans and industrialized people.
The biggest jump happened when we moved to low-fat diets. People got fatter.
Yeah. I think our BMI as a society ratcheted up a few points.
I think part of it is because you feel so unsatisfied on diet food.
Yeah. High carb stuff makes me feel terrible.
Blood sugar crash.
Yes.
It tastes terrible. So you're always feeling unsatisfied because you're not getting the nutrients you need. You're not getting the fat you need. You're never satisfied. We collectively felt deprived.
Oh, for sure.
In the 80s.
And I remember in high school, drinking Diet Coke was so cool. Only the cool kids drank the Diet Coke.
Believe it or not, Diet Coke is still popular.
Oh, I know. And it tastes like ass. It's terrible.
Some people would argue with you, but yes, I would rather not have a Coke than have a Diet Coke. I don't like the way it tastes. I don't like the way synthetic sugars behave in my body.
No, me either.
The interesting thing that we came across too was diet culture.
Yes.
In America, there's a diet culture. And for women in particular, you're almost ashamed to eat a carbohydrate in front of other women because having people over for food, entertaining, it is stressful for me now because I know at least one person will be keto. I will be gluten free. I've got another friend who's vegetarian, another is vegan. Another one only eats once a day and she already had her meals.
I know. And it's so funny because when we first became friends, that was one more thing. It's like, oh, great. She can eat with us.
Right. Yeah. We're both gluten free. So we don't know which diet's best, but hang out with other people on your diet. It just makes mealtime so much easier.
Makes it so much easier.
For sure. I spent a week with my vegan son and we just went to all of the great vegan restaurants in New York, which is nice. But by the end of the week, I'm like, okay, I need to be with my people now, which is so sad. That's my son.
Yeah. I get it. And so another thing that I thought was very interesting in doing the dive for this one is it's a not so fun fact. 80% of people who lose at least 10% of their body mass or their body weight when they're on a restrictive diet or whatever purpose they're going for will regain that amount of weight and most likely more within 2 years of that initial weight loss. So when I think about those people who are doing the stomach stapling and the gastric banding and the gastric bypass, they're going to most likely gain that weight back. Yikes.
A lot of them will.
Yeah.
The diet, the restrictive diet, and even something as extreme as lap band surgery, I mean, it works. Having less food works. But the real question is, what is a healthy diet to stay on? What's a healthy lifestyle change? How should I eat forever? Not, okay, can I cut down to 900 calories or can I be keto for a certain period of time? Because what happens when you leave that diet? You fall back to your old eating habits and the weight comes back. And sometimes if you've been on a very restrictive diet, you have actually
changed your metabolism.
You've reduced your metabolism, which makes it even easier for you to gain weight again.
Yes.
So I will also say if you're struggling with your weight, go ahead and get that thyroid checked. Americans have the number one rate of autoimmune diseases, of which
Thyroid
hypothyroidism
is the number one. Yep.
And then think about, okay, what are healthy lifestyle changes that I can make forever? But you're not listening to this podcast to hear us talk about healthy lifestyle changes.
No.
You should read all of Michael Pollan's books. He says,
okay, so wait a second. Not everyone may know who Michael Pollan is. So
well, they will after they read his books.
Okay. Well, his first big book was the what?
The Omnivore's Dilemma.
Omnivore's Dilemma.
Was that his first big one? I don't know.
It's the first one that I remember him where he came into my radar.
Okay. Eat food, not too much. Mostly plants. His big thing is, though, when he says eat food, he means eat real food. Don't eat specialty diet products. Don't eat.
If it comes in a box, a bag, a can,
and has a ton of ingredients in it.
A ton of ingredients. That's not real food.
That's a lab manufactured food-like product, is what Michael Pollan says.
Right.
And what Elle and I are telling you from experience, that eating lower glycemic, which means less starches, less refined carbs, less grains in general, and more veggies and healthy proteins, that's good for you. So end of episode. I think we covered everything. No,
no, wait a second.
I wanted to talk about our diet culture.
Yes.
And part of the reason that we think that there is this diet culture, I like to point out our cognitive biases.
Absolutely.
And the exposure effect is one. It's the psychological phenomenon where repeated exposure makes you like something more. So
you're sounding so sciencey. I love it. I'm rubbing off on you.
You know, I've always loved talking about cognitive biases. I'm like, no.
I'm waiting for you to pull out the rat study.
Yep. No. You just think that because your brain, did you know, wants to blah, blah, blah. So advertisers are aware of the exposure effect. The more you see something, think about the first time you hear a song. Nobody wants your favorite band to play new stuff. You don't like that stuff.
Yeah, you want
It's only after you've heard it a long time, you're like, actually, I do like this song. So the more we see things, the more we see people on TV drinking Crystal Light and our friends drinking Crystal Light. And pretty soon I went back to the 80s there with the Crystal Light.
I'm going to say, whoa, no one's drinking that anymore. I don't
know. Yeah. And there's probably some sort of saturation that happens.
But I'm with you. I mean, I definitely fell into that trap in high school. My friends started drinking Diet Coke. It was very cool back then. And I gave in. I'm like, all right, if they're going to do it, I'm going to do it.
And pretty soon you've got a Coke habit.
I did. I had a Coke habit. Oh my gosh.
A Diet Coke habit.
A Diet Coke habit. Yes.
For sure. So you see repeated commercials about diets or about dieting or about low carb this and low carb that. And then you go to the store and you see, all of the packages and the marketing with diet this and low carb that. And then again, all of your friends are either keto or gluten free or something. And then you sort of get in your idea like, oh, I should jump on this bandwagon. And that's how we get, actually, the second effect is the bandwagon effect.
There you go. Yes.
It's the cognitive bias in which people tend to adopt the behavior styles or attitudes simply because it seems like everyone else is. So after a while, all my friends were on keto. I wanted to try keto too. Fun fact, I hated it. It cuts out a lot of fruits and vegetables, and I'm just not down for that.
Yeah, me either. Mm-mm.
So you don't have to jump on the bandwagon if you don't want to be keto. You don't have to. But you didn't need me to tell you that.
Well, and so, where in our American culture do we, how can we fit in the fact that, our beauty ideals are airbrushed and photoshopped images on all the magazines and the Instagrams and everything else?
I don't know how to fix that because we're not going to start consuming less media anytime soon.
Oh, God, for sure. No, we're not.
And the people on TV, the people on our Instagrams, they will continue to be there. And having a beauty ideal is not a new thing. There's the tribe in Africa where they want the long neck.
Oh,
so
that's right.
They do the ring stacking
Yep.
up their neck. And I don't think, at least when I heard about this, I don't think they had TVs. This was just their idea of beauty.
True.
This very long neck thing.
Oh, and so, we do have an obesity problem here in our country and other industrialized countries as well, but we definitely have an obesity problem. One of the statistics that really made me very sad was that 81% of 10-year-old girls are afraid of being fat.
Oh,
I know. And as a mother of teenagers, that gives me pause.
for sure. So your daughters are listening to you when you complain about your body. She's absorbing that and she hears it about her body. I know your tendency is to say, "Oh, I don't like this about me and I don't like this about me." But if you want your daughter to like her body, you have to show some body positivity. As
Absolutely.
Caitlin Moran says, embrace your wobbly bits.
I loved that. Oh my God. I loved that. She was so funny. And, she also has the benefit of age.
Wisdom?
Yes, with age comes wisdom. And, we realize once we get to our age and her age, she's actually a little younger than I am. You realize that some of the stuff that you thought mattered so much when you were younger doesn't matter at all. And, when I think about back in the day, my mother was always concerned about her weight.
Mhm.
And she talked about her weight in very negative ways. And my mother was not overweight, or she was, it was small. It was a very small amount. She's never been an obese person. I have very distinct memories of her carrying around this little booklet that had the calorie counts of every conceivable food. It was like a little handbook
That sounds so clinical.
well, I think she was doing what she could to
Of course. To avoid becoming
yes,
fat.
that.
So
Yes.
scary.
Yeah.
Fat. And so you were imbued with this mustn't become fat.
Mustn't become fat. Yes. And being the control freak that I am, like what I eat, I have 100% control over. And with that, I had an eating disorder. That's not surprising at all.
How did we find out how prevalent are eating disorders in the United States?
That is great. I want to say we found that somewhere. I know that more women and girls die from anorexia than any of the other eating disorders,
Sure.
which is no fun.
But that makes sense.
Yeah.
The controlling and also the fear of becoming fat.
Yes.
Eating disorders are not uncommon. We can
No.
agree on that.
Absolutely. And, anorexia was mine in that I just wouldn't eat, just wouldn't. Or I would eat very tiny amounts. I'd eat it very, very slowly. I got down to 89 pounds, which is terrible. That is terrible and unhealthy. And I remember a good friend of mine was like, "What is the matter with you? What are you doing?" And that was the thing that I needed to kind of kick me into, when I looked at myself in the mirror, I saw
That you still had some weight to lose?
yes, exactly. I saw something that wasn't
Perfect.
I saw something that wasn't perfect, or something that I thought that I could make better.
Mm-hmm.
And that was twisted thinking for sure.
It's body dysmorphia, right?
Absolutely.
And the thing is, it's not that people with anorexia think that looking skeletal is a beauty ideal. It's that they look in the mirror and see themselves as still fat.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I could be thinner. I'm not perfect yet, so I'll just not eat until I'm perfect. And that's so sad.
It is sad.
So why do we have such a hard time with diets in the United States? I think part of it is because we don't have the centuries of culture that tell us what to eat.
Sure.
It's all sort of new and novel to us. And like we talked about, our mothers and their little books or their TV dinners, we weren't really learning a cultural style of eating so much.
I do think it's very interesting. Anytime my family travels, and we love to travel, when you go to a different country, with the exception of Great Britain, when I go to other countries, when we go to Italy, there's a plethora of Italian restaurants. Like all their restaurants are Italian food. When we went to Croatia, it's all Croatian food.
I would be disappointed if I went to Italy and it was a bunch of Mexican restaurants.
I know, right? But here, there's just so much variety. So
we don't know what to eat.
We don't know what to eat.
I think that's part of it. I think part of it is, man, the 80s really effed me up.
They did that to all of us.
But it caused us to have a scarcity mindset, that deprivation is what has to happen in order for you to have a healthy body. You have to deprive yourself.
Yeah.
And the French don't feel that way at all. They will not put it in their mouths if it's not freaking delicious.
I would say that it's probably true about the Italians as well.
Yeah.
Because, oh my God, their food is so delicious.
Our food is so delicious. So why would we put this junk in our mouths?
Right.
This is so So good. And they savor it, and they don't have the ridiculous portion sizes. I've done a lot of work with exchange students, and they're all just shocked when they come here how large our portion sizes are. You know, if you're a restaurant and they say, do you want the small, medium, or large? You're like, oh, it's a better deal to get the large, or maybe I should get the small. I promise you it's a large in some other country.
For sure.
So don't feel like you're depriving yourself. You're going to enjoy it.
Well, and the amounts of sugar that we have in our foods
everything's
here,
very sweet.
everything is so sweet. And once you kind of back away and you stop eating so much sweet stuff and then you go back to it,
it's disgusting.
It's disgusting. It's so hard to eat. And I remember when we were in China, the desserts were beautiful, but they were, the portions were very small and they were not sweet. It was satisfying. It was delicious, but not the over the top sweet like we have here.
Even, the dipping your fries in mayo versus dipping them in ketchup, the sweet, sweet sauce. That's, I know, very controversial. But ketchup to them tastes just weirdly, weirdly sweet.
Because it is. Most ketchup has sugar in it.
You may think that you like it, but that's just because you've conditioned your taste buds to like it that way. They condition their taste buds to like it less sweet. So if you're like, oh, I can't do without the Coke, or I can't do without the sweet stuff.
But you can train your taste buds to like less sweet things by slowly backing away.
And then all of a sudden, things that you used to like, you're like, this is kind of disgustingly sweet. Good.
I am so thankful. One of the best things that came out of me, birthing a new child, a new person, was I used to have 1 can of Dr. Pepper a day. I did drink coffee some. I would drink some coffee, but I loved to have a Dr. Pepper, with my lunch or whatever. And when I became pregnant with my first child, I couldn't stand the taste of that stuff. It was just immediately disgusting. It was almost
never been pregnant. Pregnancy does weird things to your taste buds.
Weird stuff for sure. Yeah, we had to sell a car because couldn't stand the smell of the car.
She's not kidding. It does weird stuff.
Oh,
yeah.
Gosh. And I thank my daughter to this day. Like, I didn't need that. And it was the pregnancy hormones that said, you really don't want that. And to this day, it still tastes, ugh.
That's gross. A lovely story. But when I was pregnant with my first child, all I wanted to eat almost the entire 9 months were bagel bites.
Oh, no.
It's not, I don't think it's Totino's, but in the freezer section, the little tiny pizzas, that is the only thing that sounded good to me. That and the occasional spoonful of peanut butter.
Oh, I had a jar of peanut butter that I would just get a big old spoon.
Yeah, the peanut butter was breakfast and the bagel bites were lunch and dinner.
And I ate so many fresh strawberries that really she should have been strawberry colored.
And I think it's different for all women. Like my mom talked about just with eating popcorn all the time when she was pregnant. She just loved popcorn, which did not sound appealing to me at all. You know what? Maybe this episode should be about pregnancy and weird things that you crave.
And weird things that you crave. That needs to be another episode for sure.
All right.
I think it's also weird to think about how picky some eaters are, especially children. Children can be very, very picky. It seems to me sometimes that's allowed, and then it progresses into adulthood. I know some adults who are very, very picky about what they eat. Again, my oldest child, when she was about 4 years old, and I think this is pretty common in that age group, she has what we call her hunger strike. Like she just stamped her little foot on the floor and I'm not going to eat that if it wasn't macaroni and cheese or chicken, which, okay, great. That's all she wanted, macaroni and cheese or chicken. Being a first-time mom, these people don't come with any instruction manuals. You pretty much have to figure it out. I thought I could roll with that and just give her chicken and macaroni and cheese. Or
that doesn't sound very
healthy, right? Or I can say, good luck with that because you're 4 and you're not cooking. I very quickly adopted the eat it or don't eat it policy. I would make a healthy dinner. She would sit down and she would fold her arms and like, I don't want this. I'm like, okay, this is your dinner. Eat it. Don't eat it. Totally up to you.
I can already hear the parents saying, oh, that doesn't work. My kid was malnourished.
Yeah.
I have also seen, and this may not be your situation, you may be the most adventurous eater in the world and your child is super picky. However, I have definitely seen picky children come from picky parents. Again, with the exposure effect, you like things that you're exposed to.
Right.
And so if you present a child with a plate of broccoli and the child never eats broccoli at home, they don't like it.
And you've got to expose them 8 to 10 times.
At least
Before they will decide that they like it, before they even know if they like it.
The parenting advice that I got with mine was if you put a new food on the table, don't even offer it to them the first time. This is special.
I've heard that too.
This is special adult food.
Yeah.
And it's through repeated exposure and seeing you eat it, they're eventually going to want to try it. And again, their taste buds get conditioned. So if you're exposing your kids to vegetables and to healthy foods, they will like vegetables and healthy foods most of the time. There are exceptions out there.
To be fair, I did draw the line with my oldest child. It was the two of us. Her dad, my husband, was traveling all the time. It was the two of us. I decided that I'm not going to be a short order cook for you.
That was mom rule number one for me. I don't want to be a short order cook.
I don't want to be a short order cook. So I decided really quickly, she's not going to starve to death. She still gets a good breakfast that she will eat. She still gets a lunch that she will eat. At dinner time, I'm drawing the line. Eat it, don't eat it, that's your choice. But if you don't eat it, don't ask me for anything else. I'm not making anything else. You don't get any cookies, you don't get any ice cream, nothing after that. It took about a week. And then she decided she was going to eat the dinner I made.
A week is not a very long time.
Not a very long time.
You guys can do this.
That's right. I'm glad it worked out for us. And then I've got my little who will eat absolutely anything. Like she just, you name it. If it's in front of her, she's eating it. She's awesome. Let's back it up just a little bit. There's so many cool, freaky things that we have done in the name of diets over the years. And when I was looking at some of the, crazy fad diets that there have been in the American culture, I was surprised. I mean, we all have heard of the Twinkie Diet. I don't know how that was supposed to work, and I didn't really dig into it, but
that was ironic, right?
It was,
Someone was like, I'm going to do the Twinkie diet.
I'm just thinking that's just malnourishment because that's not food at all. The Tapeworm Diet I had also heard of, and that sounds dangerous and disgusting.
The tapeworms take more than calories. They also take your nutrients, which again, if you can run on youth, okay.
There was one that was called ear stapling, which is based on acupuncture. I don't think that's going to last.
So if you basically get your ears done, have your ears surgically pinned back, or did they literally staple your ears?
No, they put like a little, they call it a staple, but it was like a little acupuncture that stayed. It was a little.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay. And then this reduces your appetite.
Supposed to reduce your appetite, but it didn't work. Of course, it didn't work. I don't think that.
And can it overcome our grocery stores full of
modified food-like substances that
screaming at you to eat me?
No, and the flavor enhancers that make things taste so that have such a strong flavor. Oh God, no, that can't ever.
And obviously the cotton ball diet.
Oh God, can we say bowel obstruction? Hello.
It probably works. I'm not going to feel very hungry if I have a bowel obstruction.
Gross. I just can't imagine choking down even a cotton ball soaked in orange juice or whatever it was they said. Gross. That's disgusting.
I would definitely have to soak it in something slippery, but then I'm feeling like there's a lot of fat in that.
And so
like a cotton ball, fried and then dipped in butter.
Oh, right. Yum. So I did hear about the Master Cleanse, which is also known as the lemonade diet. God, this had to be the 90s.
Oh no, Beyonce's done it. I think before you go down the red carpet, everyone does
a cleanse,
some version of no solid foods for a couple of days. It's obviously not a long-term diet, and it's not going to help anyone learn to have long-term
better behavior.
Yes,
no
eating habits. But it's you drink 6 to 12 glasses a day of a mixture of water, lemon juice, maple syrup, and cayenne pepper. I'm like, maple syrup? That's so high, so glycemic. The juice and the maple syrup.
Right.
And of course, the capsaicin is believed to have fat-burning properties, which it does. But if you eat spicy food, you burn 12 to 20 more calories a day. I mean, it's not it's going to cause significant weight loss.
Negligible, for sure.
It is negligible. Though I'm all for the health benefits of herbs and spices. And I do like a lot of, I like it extra cinnamony. I like some heat in my food, but I'm not necessarily doing that for weight loss. Do you remember, do people still do this? Do they put on like the plastic jumpsuits to kind of try to sweat out water weight?
Oh, I don't know.
That is dangerous.
Yes.
You can dehydrate and die.
Especially here in Florida.
Yeah,
oh my God.
True.
I mean, we sweat enough as it is just in our normal clothes.
Yeah, that sounds so uncomfortable too, the plastic clothes.
Terrible.
What about waist trainers? Everybody's talking about, was it Kim Kardashian? Did she get
Probably.
him on the waist trainers?
God.
Okay,
It's a
ladies,
girdle,
it's a girdle.
people.
It's a girdle. There's no permanent anything.
No.
And guess what? If you wore it all the time, which most people don't, they're like, this is uncomfortable. I've wasted money.
And
This
I
is
can't
why,
breathe.
and I can't breathe. And this is why Kim Kardashian has my money now. But if you actually did wear it all the time, you would actually lose core strength, which is the opposite of what you want in a healthy body.
Absolutely. Right?
Because it keeps your muscles from moving and doing their job. So I would put waist trainers in the
Vertical file.
definitely does more harm than good thing.
Yeah.
Now, if you wore one and called it a girdle every now and then because you're going down the red carpet,
Fine.
okay, fine.
Moderation. The key to everything is moderation.
Sure. I'm not saying throw out your Spanx, but I'm saying, do Spanx make you thinner in real life? No,
No.
they do not. Let's take a break.
This is a great place to take a break. All right, guys, we'll be back in a few minutes. Stay tuned.
If you're a small business or you own a small business and you're listening to this podcast right now, you could sponsor us. And
This could be your space.
yes, this could be your space.
Welcome back.
Hey, let's do a podcast we wish we made.
Oh, yeah. All right. Do you want to talk about it? Do you want me to do it?
You go. You
All
had a
right.
good one.
So the podcast that I wish we'd made is Unladylike. Oh my gosh, I really enjoyed this.
I like the title.
I loved the title, and they are very irreverent. I think we could hang out with them. They were talking about
Dietland? Leaving Dietland.
Leaving Dietland. Yes, it was Leaving
Episode
Dietland.
1 and 2.
Episode 1 and 2. And they interviewed in episode 1, Joy Nash, who has a wildly popular YouTube video where she basically did a fat rant. And I think that was several years ago.
Fat rant.
Fat rant. She is unapologetically happy in her own skin. Like she's decided to be happy in her own skin.
She uses the word fat. She says, I'm fat. And she refuses to be ashamed of herself. And society just does not know what to do with her.
No, they don't. She started with the rant. And then, of course, because her video went viral, she was then on the talk shows. And I don't think she was treated very well on the talk shows. I haven't watched all those videos. I think they
I
were
didn't hear this.
a little judgy of her on the talk shows.
And more than the viral video that she did, I'm guessing no money. I don't know.
Right.
But she's also in a show.
Yeah, Dietland.
Oh, is it called Dietland?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
On Hulu. And I have not watched that, but I want to.
I also have not watched that. And it's not just with our weight, though in our diet culture, that's an easy one to look at yourself and say, I wish this were different. I'm going to be obsessed with this. So Dad Bods. What's a Dad Bod?
Great question. And this comes up because we were both reading Caitlin Moran's book, More Than a Woman, and she talks about Dad Bods and Mom Bods. So Dad Bods are A-okay, right? They're the dad who's put on a few extra pounds. He doesn't have the washboard stomach anymore. He's not super fit, maybe like he once was, and it's still okay. He's still sexy. Whereas Mom Bods, for some reason, our wibbly bits are not viewed so positively.
I want to hear that phrase more, like sporting the mom bod.
I know. Because hello, making a new human is really hard. It really takes a lot out of you.
It does. And okay, this would take us way off on a tangent, but it seems like all clothes is either made for plus size women or supermodels. You guys in the comments, let me know, where do you find your attractive mom bod clothes?
Yeah, where do you shop? We need to know.
Yeah. I don't want to look like your 8th grade math teacher. I mean, maybe if you're in 8th grade right now, but I'm saying if you're my age and you think back to your 8th grade math teacher, I feel like they all wore very frumpy clothes in the 90s.
Yes.
80s, 90s.
Lots of plaid skirts and cardigans.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that can be very cute though.
I'm
thinking Bowden, but once again, not all Bowden is.
Yeah.
You know what? Cut all this out because I'm thinking of British TV shows and they're still wearing Bowden even though they have mom bod. So I just wear the regular clothes. I just have a mom bod in it. Like, sorry, this does not look as good as.
Yeah. Well, I'm totally mom bod today because I'm in a t-shirt a Weirdly Human t-shirt, by the way, and we have merch on our website. So if you want one, you can get one too.
Just like us.
Just like us. And my yoga pants, because, it's kind of uncomfortable up here sometimes. And it's really nice to sit in some yoga pants.
You don't have to sell me on how comfy yoga pants are. I've got on my nice sweatpants today.
Woo!
My soft pants.
Nice.
I'm having a hard time reacquainting myself with real pants. The soft pants thing might stick around for longer than COVID does.
I think we're all feeling that right now. The idea is, at the meeting this morning, people were talking about having to go back to the office and having to dress for the office again. And I don't think any of us want to do that.
A lot of people are already doing it, and kudos to you rocking your mom bods and your dad bods, or some of you have just great bods, and some of you have rounder bods, and just put those bods in some clothes and they're already there.
Where are you going with this? You lost me. I just kept hearing bod.
This is why I don't drink before we record.
All right, how do we want to wrap this up? What's the takeaway? What do we want people to take away from this? Okay, I think it's important for us all to start making small changes, because we can't change everything all at once. We need to make small changes that are manageable.
I think we can make a big change. I think we can sit down and say, I'm not going to eat junk anymore. If it's not delicious, I don't want to eat it. I'm going to have dessert, but I'm going to have just a small amount. I'm going to eat lower glycemic things. But I think the big thing is you're not coming from deprivation. We're not saying don't have that delicious dark piece of chocolate after dinner. Absolutely have that. Just have a little bit of it. Don't have a jumbo Haagen-Dazs.
Okay, when you say treat yourself, I think a big part of our culture and part of the diet culture is, we all are stressed out, and food is it feels really good. It tastes really good at the moment. And that feels like it relieves some of our anxiety, some of maybe our depression, some of our exhaustion for a very short amount of time. I think we're all so busy. We're all so tired. We're all stressed out, and it feels good to eat that Haagen-Dazs.
Okay, but say Haagen-Dazs is not great for me, but it is delicious. So don't eat it right out of the container.
Yes.
Because you will mindlessly eat the whole thing.
Scoop it out into a small dish.
Those first few bites are the best anyway. After that, your taste buds sort of become satiated. So scoop it out into a small dish. Enjoy the hell out of it.
And eat it slowly. Savor it.
Savor it.
Oh, God. This is so going off the rails.
It is. It's so bad.
This is so bad. This is so bad.
We should have talked about porn. That would have been so much more fun.
It would have been so much more fun.
This is just the worst subject.
Okay, what is
the comedian's name?
Hannah Gadsby.
Hannah Gadsby.
Oh, God.
When she gets upset, she says she puffer fishes. Like the puffer fish.
Like the puffer fish blow up.
Yeah.
And get all spiky.
Talking about the paleo diet really gets her going, and she puffer fishes.
And if you haven't seen Hannah Gadsby's stand-ups, she's got two, Nanette and Douglas.
I would say for
Douglas
most of you watch
bomb.
Douglas. Nanette is it's
darker humor.
It's very
funny,
dark.
but it's dark.
Anyway, so she puffer fishes about the paleo diet, and she says, for one thing, we don't know what our paleo ancestors ate, and for another thing, we do know it wasn't cauliflower tater tots, and she gets really upset about that. And
so I love my cauliflower crust pizza.
Sure, she's not promising to be a diet guru, but and she's also supposed to be funny.
She is funny.
She is funny.
And she's Tasmanian, so she is funny in a very fun accent, which I love.
You know what? I think my favorite diet is the 80-20 diet. And that's where,
God, yes, ma'am.
That's where 80% of the time you're very good. And by very good, we mean you eat what you should, all the Mediterranean goodies. And 20% of the time, you eat the tater tots, you have some Haagen-Dazs. That's,
yes.
You're out with friends and you're having some wine and cheese or wine and tater tots. You do you. It's fine. It's not the end of the world.
Well, I will not be putting tater tots on my charcuterie board, but I hear you.
Oh, yeah. Using charcuterie would sound relatable.
See, I knew you were going to call me out. I just threw that out there because I knew you were going to call me out.
I took the bait.
That's
I
right.
took the bait.
I love it. I love it. All right, weirdos, you have wasted another perfectly good 30 minutes with us. This one was kind of lame. Sorry about that. We'll be back next time.
Girl, don't tell them what to think about it.
Okay, fine. I'll edit that part out. I will
Okay.
edit that part out. No worries.
Regardless of what you're thinking right now, this was actually awesome. This was a very good podcast. And if you didn't get it, that's not our fault.
All right. Well, go watch you some Hannah Gadsby because she's hilarious. If you are a Audible listener or if you're a reader, get out there and check out Caitlin Moran's More Than a Woman because she is also hilarious. Thanks for listening. This has been Weirdly Human, and we'll see you again next time.
Bye.
Bye. I think that's one of your life goals, being on SNL. That should be one of your life goals for sure.
If Elon Musk can do it.
Honestly, all you need now is $1 billion.
I'm going to write that diet book.
Right. There we go. Okay. All right. So now we are recording.